Welcome to Inside the Web, Student Life Unpacked, your go-to series for everything you need to know about student life at Gardner-Webb University. I'm Lesley Villarose, Dean of Students, and I'm excited to walk alongside you as we explore the many services, resources, and opportunities designed to help you thrive on campus.
And I'm Brian Arnold, Assistant Dean of Students, here to help you make the most of your GW experience. Whether you're just getting started, transferring in, or returning for another great year, in each episode, we'll take a closer look at different aspects of student life, from housing and wellness to involvement in spiritual life, joined by special guests from across campus.
So whether you're tuning in from home, on the road, or already walking in the quad, this is your space to get informed, get connected, and get inspired. On today's episode of Inside the Web Student Life Unpacked, we are joined by Micah Martin, who is our director of the Career Center here at Gardner-Webb. So Micah, thank you for joining us today. And so let's just start by you just giving us a little information about what is the Career Center? What do you all do?
Well, the Career Center, probably like listeners would think about any college or university, we do have sort of an expectation in the Career Center that there's a set list of things that you do. You help people with resumes. Mm-hmm. You help them search for jobs and internships. You help them practice their interviews or practice for interviews. We also do a lot to help students network with employers, which they need more practice at than they probably expect. And we do a good bit of helping them research industries, fields, types of jobs, even nowadays using things like AI to research job descriptions for things that align with their skill set. We still do, not as much, but we do a good bit early on with students about figuring out their design and where it aligns with certain things that they may feel like they're leaning towards as a career. We do less assessments and more career conversations because for today's students, the assessment seems a little outdated. They want to have an ongoing conversation about the experience they're having in college, how it aligns with their future goals, and how they're actually feeling about it. And so a lot of those conversations now are more about what do I feel like is an enjoyable way to spend my work life versus what do I want to do for a living.
Mm-hmm.
Micah, what's your thoughts on, we have first-year students, we have transfer students, we have returning students, we have grad students. When should students start thinking about the services and things that you offer, even as a first year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I'm glad you said that because we have things that involve all those students and things that are valuable for all those students. But we do a good bit with University 111, the freshman orientation, intro to college type class for first year students. And in that class, they get exposed to content really around how do I max out the college experience towards my future goals? So what are some things I can be doing regularly in college that will impress an employer, but will also help me have experiences that help me, sort of navigate the things that I enjoy most that align with fields, jobs, careers. But throughout their time in college, so not just as a freshman, but as they're going through a program, they're going to see us in the classroom very frequently, regardless of major. We do a lot of customized programming for students in every major. But we also try to make sure that as somebody's leaving the university, it's not something they're doing as an afterthought, that they've used us throughout. And when we're about to leave the university, we're just icing the cake at that point. We're doing those last few things to make sure that if they're not already hired, they're about to be as they graduate.
And I guess kind of follow up to that is, what are ways that students, undergraduate or graduate students, can stay connected with you? Because they can stop by every day, but are there ways that they can stay connected with y'all outside of just stopping by the office?
Well, number one is our Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
We post a lot of good content and fun content to Instagram, and a lot of students give us great feedback there, and sometimes they're in video content and participating with us. We do a good bit of emailing still to students, and we do a weekly email to seniors every week of the school year where we're trying to make sure that if you're thinking about the calendar right now and you're about to graduate in May, what should I be doing in March to prepare to graduate in May as a senior? What connects back to the career world in that sense? We do the same thing for our online students, even though it's a little bit different content sometimes in the way we share it. We have an organization in Blackboard for online students where we put out a good bit of content there too. So I think just keeping up with us, that's the easy way to do it. But the other thing is participate in the programming we offer. I mean, you're going to see us in the classroom, but when we advertise an etiquette dinner or a personal finance workshop or a job fair, you should show up for the thing because we're using your money that you gave the university to put this thing on. And when you don't participate in those value adds, you lose that value. So I always use the analogy, if it was a rainy day, you'd turn on your windshield wipers, right? So when you need us, use us. And a lot of that needing us comes from discovering us through a classroom session or through an event you participated in.
Mm-hmm. Now, Micah, at Gardner-Webb, are our students required to have an internship?
They are required to have what we call a professional readiness experience. So I would say for 75% of our students, that maybe more than that, that's an internship. Mm-hmm. Now, you think about how that's customized per major. So if you're a nursing student, clinicals are your internship. Right. If you're an education major student, teaching is your internship. But we do have a few majors that do more professionally oriented class content for certain majors that definitely go to grad school after their undergrad, and that's a little more valuable for those students in that moment than just doing an internship. But the other interesting thing about internships, and we're seeing a lot of our students do a second internship, and usually for two reasons. One, my first internship went so well, they've invited me back for a second semester, or sometimes for the rest of the year, or sometimes as a part-time job. But the second reason is some of our students do an internship and realize this industry is not what I thought it is, or this experience is not what I thought it's going to be like. I want to try something else. And I'm glad I figured that out in an internship versus my first job where I'm trying to pay my bills with a job that I don't enjoy. So we're seeing that a good bit. And yes, we expect all of our students to leave with some professional readiness experience to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned, internships and professional readiness experiences. If I'm a student, are you finding that for me? Like, do I just need to show up and you'll find it for me?
Yeah. Most often, no. The thing we can do, and we're very, very aligned with this thinking. If we can teach you some things in college and prepare you for what's next, you won't need us very much after college. And you're paying for this. This is an educational experience. So we use the internship search experience, for example, to teach students how to find a job. And most of our students, when our graduation numbers show us that at least 70% of our students on average, for at least the past 6 or 7 years, at least 70% of our grads are telling us, I'm already hired. I'm already going to grad school full-time when I graduate. And sometimes they're doing both. They're working and going to graduate school full-time. They've followed a process that works. And so, no, we don't give them an internship. This is not the job placement world of the 1970s.
Right.
And students are using AI to figure out what job descriptions should be like. And they're doing a lot of this on their own, but with our oversight. So, no, we don't give them jobs or internships, but we help them find them. Now, we are pretty good at helping point them in the right direction if we can get to know that student, and their faculty are excellent at this. If a faculty member has taught a student for a year or two, they know their strengths and weaknesses. They know what they're cut out for. We also have some really tuned in alum who regularly hire interns and hire, first-time job seekers from Gardner-Webb. And I had an alum recently tell one of our students who had applied for an internship she was not ready. That she needed to spend another year getting ready in a particular skill set before he could hire her. That's valuable for that student. Even though it was not easy for her to hear, it was good intel. Now, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen with that student. I guarantee you next year that employer is going to call me and say, can you get me back in touch with her? I hope she's ready. And that is the relationship we hope to have. So, no, we don't give them those jobs and internships, but we try to create an environment where it's easy for them to learn how to do that themselves. And the old adage, if you teach a man to fish. So that's what we're trying to lean into.
Well, on that same note, Micah, how do you help a student that may come into their career center and say, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to major in. I don't know. I need help.
I actually had an alumni parent ask me yesterday how to help a student do that. And the student reached out to me today to set up an appointment. It usually starts with, hey, come into the office and let's sit down and just talk about you for a few minutes. And very frequently, our students do have an idea. They're often scared to say it out loud. Or maybe they're scared to say it in front of mom or dad because they think it might be criticized or not the norm. But often that's the case. And what we help them do is let's get a plan together to do some investigation for that. If we have a student that's just completely, I have no clue. I do not know what I want to do. And I'm burning through time here in college and I don't want to spin my wheels. I don't want to waste all this time. We use a tool like StrengthsFinder, Gallup StrengthsFinder assessment very commonly to sort of not diagnose, but really help them assess their design, what they do best, and then put a vocabulary around it where they can have a conversation with me around it, but also use that to develop a plan for experimentation. So if I discovered through the Gallup StrengthsFinder that one of my strengths is communication, how can I start to have some conversations with some people that maybe are also communicators? Where have they gone in the work world? But then also, how can I investigate job opportunities that value the skill? And that's a broad skill set, communication. So that's the one assessment tool we do use a good bit. But I would say it's becoming more and more common for when a student comes in, after a few minutes of conversation, we realize they do have an idea for something. And I think that's a shift over the past 10 years maybe of where college students used to not really have an idea and need more of that of assessment. Now it's more of drawing it out of them with a conversation and then getting some space to maybe practice it or experiment with it.
That's excellent.
Micah, two-part question. One, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a student about the Career Center? And then two, you've been here for some time now and been serving in the Career Center for a while.
Almost 10 years.
Almost. Congratulations.
What is something special to you about getting to work with students every day?
Yeah. Well, the special part is easy. So many of our alum come back to us to hire. And I can remember just yesterday we had our public safety law enforcement fair, and there was several alumni at tables who I worked with when they were a student here. One's Lauren Mahoney, works for the SBI, Western North Carolina agent in Macon County. And she was there at the table to hire new interns to hopefully pipeline them through a system that produces new SBI agents for the state of North Carolina. And I remember she was here 5-6 years ago. I helped her start the Criminal Justice Society here as a club. But I got to work with her when she left political science and moved into criminal justice. She was changing her field outlook, and her dad was a longtime law enforcement officer. And she had kind of ran from that as a student here going, I don't want to do what my family does. And what does she do now? So it was neat to think about her as just one example of alumni who come full circle and say, you guys really invested in me. Now I'm paying it forward by hiring these students again and doing that mentorship, that relationship building investment. But the other big piece of advice I would give students is talk to people doing the work you think you want to do, and let us help you connect with them if you don't have people you can connect with. Occasionally, I'll run into somebody who's a nursing major, and they've never spoken to a nurse outside of being a patient in a hospital or the doctor's office. You need to talk to a nurse about what they love about their job, but what they also don't love, what they find challenging. What's a rough shift look like when you're working in pediatrics? If I take that first med-surg job, what's that like day to day? And not just with nursing, but across the field, most of our students have not done that. And they get to do that when they participate with our office, but sometimes a lot of our students will need a next level conversation. And it's easy for us to connect them with employers who are eager to talk with them about it. And a lot of times the employer selling them on the idea, hey, if you're interested, come work with us. We might have an internship open for you. So I think that's a really important piece that often our students have not yet done.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Micah, for sharing that advice. And thank you, more importantly, for being with us today. And thank you for the work that you provide our students. I know that they are very grateful for you. And thank you for joining us on today's episode. And we hope to see you next time on Inside the Web, Student Life Unpacked.